47 years as a democracy, well, an alleged democracy, there's never been a former U.S. president to appear as a criminal defendant. But that changed this week when Donald Trump surrendered to authorities on Tuesday after being indicted by a New York grand jury on charges related to hush money payments at the height of the 2016 presidential election. Now, Trump is still a presidential candidate for 2024, and he pleaded not guilty to 34 felony charges in a Manhattan courtroom. He then flew home to Florida and spoke to a crowd of supporters at his home. So we got a little bit of that. You know, Trump is going to put on a show. He's got the music blaring already.
God bless you all. God bless you all. And I never thought anything like this could happen in America. I never thought it could happen. The only crime that I have committed is to fearlessly defend our nation from those who seek to destroy it. From the beginning, the Democrats spied on my campaign. Remember that? They attacked me with an onslaught of fraudulent investigations. Russia, Russia, Russia. Ukraine, Ukraine, Ukraine. Impeachment hoax number 1. Impeachment hoax number 2. The illegal and unconstitutional raid on Mar-a-Lago right here.
Well, so that's a bit of his speech from, I guess, Mar-a-Lago. Now, prosecutors unsealed the indictment, against the former president on Tuesday, giving him, his lawyers, and the world the first opportunity to see them. He was actually charged with 34 counts of falsifying business records in the first degree. Prosecutors said Trump conspired to undermine the 2016 presidential election by trying to suppress information that could harm his candidacy, and then concealing the true nature of the hush money payments. The payments were made to 2 women, including a porn actor who claimed that they had sexual encounters with him years earlier, and to a doorman at Trump Tower who claimed to have a story about a child Trump fathered out of wedlock, according to Manhattan district attorneys. Now, the judge did not impose a gag order, but warned Trump to avoid making comments that were inflammatory or could cause civil unrest. Good luck with that. If convicted of any of the 34 felony charges, Trump could face a maximum of 4 years in prison, but he'll likely be sentenced to less. This could be an issue for Trump, who has already singled out his case's judge and the judge's family, and posted on his social media on Wednesday that the people are seeing what is going on and they will not allow it to continue. Trump's lawyer, Joe Tacopina, pointed to the chaotic mix of media and protesters outside the courtroom as the former president was arraigned on Tuesday, and said that it was an insane scene, but there was no violence. So that's where we're at in America, where we're like celebrating, well, there wasn't any violence at least. You know, at least nobody got shot, stabbed, beaten with a fire extinguisher or any of that. So I guess we're doing okay. Now, one thing that seems to be somewhat of a consensus since this indictment has come down and all this has been released is, from most people, including CNN, they believe that it is a very flimsy case, or at least a very underwhelming case against Donald Trump. And so a lot of people are looking at this as if it is going to be sort of a galvanizing event, and it has been. Trump has already, I believe, raised somewhere around $10 million in campaign funds off of this. You know, Chris Rock talked about it during his comedy special. He essentially said, you're turning Trump into Tupac. You know, putting him in jail only makes him more popular. Now, I'm somebody who thinks that, look, I don't think that there should be a class of people in America who are completely above the law. And I completely understand the idea that you don't want a class of people, you don't want to make somebody more popular by giving them the ammunition of saying that they are being persecuted and that there's a political element to their prosecution, which there is. Let's just be real. I mean, there's a lot of this case is personal and political. But personally, I think we should normalize arresting politicians in this country. We need to, I mean, whether it's Donald Trump, whether it's Hillary Clinton, whether it's Joe Biden, we have a corrupt elite class in this country across the board. All of them are corrupt in many ways. A lot of them are corrupt in many ways. We still have not really gone into, mostly because the media has its biases, the extent of what was on Hunter Biden's laptop computer about funds from Ukraine, China, Russia, all these places that he does business with, the extent of his father's involvement. You know, a lot of the emails that Hunter Biden had referred to a big guy that was receiving a percentage of all the money that he made. The big guy. We already know that he received funds to introduce his father to people. And the same is for the Trumps, you know, with people like Jared Kushner making billions of dollars with the Saudis and the Israelis for influence in the Trump White House. So I'm a believer that we need to normalize the idea that there is not an elite class that is completely impervious and immune to prosecution. Even though I do think there is a political element to these charges, the fact is, if a normal person did what Donald Trump did, they'd be in jail. If I was running for office and I paid off a woman to keep an affair and an affair quiet, chances are, exactly, and I used the type of skullduggery to sort of hide where the money was going and where it was coming from, I mean, I'd probably be in jail. Let's just be honest. The trickeration would put me in jail. I know that Trump represents a very large fan base, because that's what it's more like than a voting bloc. He has a fan base in this country. But still, I think that all politicians should be held to the scrutiny that he's being held to this week, and not just Donald Trump. We know why they have a problem with Donald Trump. Donald Trump will, every once in a while, he will tell the truth about something that no other politicians in America who are elected office will say. Like when he talked about, when he told Bill O'Reilly that America has killers too, and we're not so innocent, in reference to O'Reilly saying that Putin is a killer. And he said, yeah, but we're killers too. Or when he called out George W. Bush for lying about Iraq to his face and his brother's face on the stage in 2016 when he was running for president. Or when he was honest about why we were in Syria. And he said, look, we have the oil. That's what we're here for. We're securing the oil and we're taking the oil. Or when he talked about there being a military-industrial complex. You see, black people invest in all these politicians, Democrats, people supposed to be the party for black people, for working class people, and poor people, but none of them have the gall to say military-industrial complex in public. At least nobody at the higher level of politics. You won't see Barack Obama really talking about it. Or Joe Biden, or Hillary Clinton, or Bill Clinton. So we know that's why they hate Trump. But that being said, Trump is a lifelong criminal. Everything in his life has been about scheming, scamming, getting over, getting by. Often on taxpayers, like he did here in the city of Gary and the state of Indiana. He got one over on us real well with the casino and never looked back. So it's important, I think, to not have a class of people who are completely immune to prosecution. And if look, the Republicans want to start arresting Democrats in retaliation, if they're guilty, great. If they want to look into the Bidens, into the Clintons, great. I'm all for it. Let me take this caller. Hello, caller.
How you doing, Mr. Scott?
It's all good, brother.
Hey, listen, I know this is right up your alley. When you heard about that plastic money, they were going to confiscate the dollar and burn the dollars and give everybody plastic cards so they could track them. You know, when I heard that, I thought about you, young man. I said, I know Scott's going to really go to town on that. But listen, man, I'm going to stick a hole in that one. They ain't going to take no money. They ain't going to issue out no debit cards or whatever kind of plastic they going to do. That ain't so. That's just something that they put up to spook everybody. Like I say, man, we got to stop getting that Stephen Fletcher mentality, eyes open big and get cushy. That ain't happening, man. They not going to take your money. And was Donald Trump, when you take campaign money to the cat house and spend it, that ain't your money. That's money that people donate for you to run for office. You can't go gambling with it. You can't act like that's your money. You see what I'm saying?
Yep.
You can't do that. So plastic money, don't worry about it. They ain't going to give you a debit card. You're still going to have your dead president, all right? So, hey, man, don't burn your 20s. Don't burn your Washingtons and your Lincolns, man. Keep them close, okay, son?
Well, all right. Well, thank you for your call, brother. It's all good. Well, we're actually going to talk about the U.S. dollar coming up later on in the show. I definitely want to talk about that because one of the more important events in recent world history just happened, and virtually anybody was paying attention. So we'll get to that when we come back. But when we get back, first we'll talk about Chicago's mayoral election. Please stick with us here on WOTH 1370 AM. I am Scott Cannon flying solo. Rev is doing his reverend duties on Good Friday. Give me a call, 219-885-1371. And if you didn't hear me, I'll tell you again.